Welcome to RV Talk Radio. Here we talk about RV living, RV lifestyles, and RV travel. We also celebrate the RV lifestyle that gives us the chance to do outdoor activities that we couldn't do in a normal lifestyle. So thanks for joining us. Grab yourself a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, and let's talk about RVs. Before we get started, please take the time to subscribe, then click on the bell icon to get notified of our future videos. This video is made possible by Rangerrob Poopy Bags, available in Amazon right now. Hello everyone and welcome to RV Talk Radio, and yes, we're back again. We're trying to do a little more a few more shows, and I'm going to launch them on Sundays. Reason being is we have the Rangerrob Country Living daily vlog stuff going on during the weekdays. So on Saturdays we thought that's a good time to launch Easy Street Radio show, and then Sundays would be good for the RV Talk Radio. So you can catch RV Talk Radio on Spreaker and also on Good Talk Radio and several other platforms. And love to hear your comments, love to hear things you'd like us to talk about. Let us know if you'd like to be interviewed, and so on and so forth. So there. As you know, Sherry and I, we bought a place, kind of a homestead type of place, up in Central Oregon. We're not off-grid or anything like that. It's a 5-acre place. And we have lots of room for RVs and stuff. And, of course, for those RVers that we keep in contact with and stuff, if you happen to be in Central Oregon, give us a holler. We can accommodate you for a day or two, and you'll enjoy yourself with some privacy and some peaceful settings, except for my dogs and chickens and tractor and lawnmower and chainsaws. All kinds of crazy stuff. Now it's a really nice place. We do have RVers come by here and spend a night or two and enjoy, swap stories, and yeah, all that good stuff. Anyway, so one of the big things we got going on with our RV is ours is parked here. That we've been having to accommodate family a lot. So guess what? It's getting colder. And so in the next few weeks, I've been getting all the stuff ready to winterize our Montana. And I'll probably do a little video about it. It's so easy. It's not even funny. I've had RVs before that were just really a pain, just really cringe when you got to do winterization. But for a 3625 Montana, what a simple process to winterize your RV. And I don't know if all the fifth wheels are like that, but we're sure happy with ours. It's a piece of cake. So we will show that when that time comes. But today, I thought I'd talk about some of the things I'm seeing on the internet lately with stories. So let's start with these folks. Dan and Jen Nevada is the name of their channel. I've actually interviewed them. Super nice people. But I'm totally confused why they want to move to Kingman, Arizona. And I've watched some of their videos and I understand why. But to me, every time I drive through Kingman, all I see is heat, desert, and rattlesnakes. And it actually here is a very nice community, and there is some neat little places to go for drives and stuff around there, but it's a desert. It's dusty. It's hot. It gets cold in the winter and has rattlesnakes. Most of all, it has rattlesnakes. Anyway, I hope the best for those guys. I love to, I probably should interview them again, see what they're up to. I get a kick out of the fact that they just sit in their RV, really don't show much about what's going on around them, and entertain us for a good 20 minutes on their videos. And that's cool. I get a kick also when they're talking about how people politically set them up, because it's very irritating to do shows and you have to always try to be careful to say the politically right words. And when you're doing a shoot by the hip kind of show like they do, You talk pretty natural, and every once in a while you slip up with a slang or something, and there's really no harm done, but people want to read into it and get critical. And that's one of the things they were talking about in this one show about all good things come to an end. And they were talking about politics and people leaving comments and stuff. And yes, guys, it's just a show. And that's really what they're trying to tell you is we're doing this for fun. It's just a show. And if you're triggered, don't watch the show or don't subscribe. I don't understand why everybody nowadays needs to shut people down or say mean things about them. Just do some adulting, and then if you don't like the comments or you don't like some political view that they said accidentally or whatever, just turn it off and go, or don't subscribe. If you're triggered, and one of the things they said in the show, I was just listening to it, is it takes a little effort to be happy. And I actually watched a show called No Safe Spaces. One of the things I've noticed is RVers choose to be happy because they just, and I had to think that a lot of RVers tend to be conservative. And the reason I say that is conservatives are actually very happy people. They're task oriented. They were saying the difference between one that might be a little more to the left is they tend to have these really high goals and they can never achieve them, like racism or something. I want to stop racism, and so 10 years from now there's still some form of it. You're never happy, it never gets completed. Where conservative people tend to do it task oriented, and so they start off with doing something personally to say, if they took the same subject, I'm going to try to prevent racism, they would literally do little things in their lives to make things better. And their attitude is, after a long period of time, you've made a significant change. But you can complete the tasks. Like, I'm going to go meet more people, or I'm going to get involved in more organizations and stuff, or try to have more friends that are more diverse and things like that. And then they do that and they complete the tasks, and they're constantly happy. They're task oriented, and tend to be happy. So just an example, and I'm sure I'm going to hear comments about that kind of stuff, but it was just I really recommend to watch No Safe Spaces. It talks about, it really comes to, are you people of common sense or are you left? And it's one or the other. And I really just, are you happy? And if you're happy all the time and happy, generally happy, you have to admit you probably won't admit it, you're probably conservative because you're task oriented. So anyway, and it wasn't always like that, by the way. So anyway, so Dan and Dan and Jen, Nevada, great channel, enjoy watching them, and their characters, no doubt, and I hope that their journeys go well, and I really hope they enjoy their new place that when they get settled down over to in Kingman. There's rattlesnakes there. So let's move on. So one of the next channels I actually really enjoy because it's so real is Line Screw up in Canada. Now he probably occasionally he'll leave comments with stuff, but probably doesn't give a crap about what we do. But anyway, what I like about him is one is very honest and very realistic, and yet he still sticks to the fact he likes to travel, but he says, it isn't everything. And he gets just as frustrated as I do with these nomadic people saying how life, the great Bobs and the Carolyns out there, that life is this grand, living in a van and pooping in a bucket. And it's like, guys, come on. I guess I could give us a little more light here. How's this? Hey. So anyway, once again, my studio is not up yet. We're still getting our new place here in Central Oregon put together, and so it'll be a while before I actually have my studio. So you get to see the back of the dining room and a whole bunch of boxes we haven't unloaded yet. But anyway, Line Screw, I like his honesty. I actually agree with everything he does. I'm a little confused about the Carolyn thing. I don't know where that goes back to, but it's actually kind of funny. And the fact that she gets so riled up about it, she could probably end it with just chilling out and not being so triggered. That would probably be someone that just enjoys being unhappy. Anyway, but Line Screw is a happy guy. And one day he's talking about nomadic lifestyle and RVing, and the next time he's talking about going to Hawaii and doing other forms of happiness and not just being obsessed with trying to sell you his lifestyle. And that I do appreciate, and I hope someday that him and I could actually do a show together and just I just think it'd be funny. He's very energetic. I think I'm only a little bit older than him, but anyway, we definitely would relate. I think it'd be a fun show to just interview one another. We've had RV Talk Radio for 3-4 years now. His channel's been plugging along, and this particular show he was talking about, which is RV Full-Time Nomadic Life, Truth and then Lies. Yeah, plenty of those, and we'll talk about that more in this show. And he points it out, just saying he's really good at doing digging in and finding out what this BS is all about. He's just like me when it comes to this Bob Wells. It's like, I swear it's like watching a cult leader trying to recruit more people for his cult. And I'm expecting someday at BLM to find thousands of people who just killed themselves or something, or drowned themselves in their buckets. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Relax, people. Anyway, but I doubt that'll ever happen because they're trashing the BLM so bad that eventually it's going to be shut down and nobody can enjoy it. So thanks a lot, people. Anyway, Line Screw, I wish you the best of luck. I hope I like your channel. I will always continue to watch you. Occasionally you throw me right over my head, but that's me, not you. Anyway, guys, let's move on. Well, we're back, and I'm kind of switching gears here because after watching Line Screws and stuff, he was talking about the same kind of things we were. These nomads that are, either ex-felons or felons, and selling a whole bag of lies. And one of the things I really have been awakened to lately is I've actually, because we've gone into a prepping homesteading mode, and because we wanted to be more self-sufficient and stuff like that, and we've done the RVing. And one of the things that was really frustrating I found as an RVer is I felt like, one, as I wasn't contributing, and two, it sounds funny, but the lack of tasks, I guess that's why I'm a conservative, is when you're an RV, you got your RV and you keep up your RV, and it's like, okay, I fixed the fan. Yay. Or I winterized, or I did something or another. Yay. And that's yay. And you do the same thing over and over. What I've found, like, for example, I've got a video here of a group called Good Simple Living. I highly recommend this channel. What you'll see is inspirational. I'll just say that word. I love the fact of young couples. Now, these guys are probably just hitting late 30s, 40s, and have kids, and they took a chance, and they bought some property up in Idaho, and have started almost from scratch, building an outbuilding, putting a tiny home in it, bringing in water. What you see behind the picture of those guys right there is their new pump house for their well, and a place to store tools and stuff, and building it from scratch. Now, I'm kind of feel like I'm too old to be building a lot of things from scratch, but we have, like, if you watch our videos, we just finished a chicken house and chicken coop, and I'm actually pretty proud of it. And we build littler things. As you get older, you get a little more limited in some of the things you should or shouldn't be doing. But what I want to talk about is is there is inspirational young folks out there that are understanding and concerned about living in the city and their lives with their kids in school and influence of society on them. And like, what was it? Actually, Dan and Jen had said that the best profession to get into in the future would be mental health support, because our kids are going to be so screwed up with all these masks and living on video games and etc. They don't know the practicalities of life. For example, my son lives here now and with his kids, and his kids have got chores. Their kids are helping pick up things, and they understand animals. They understand where meat comes from. They understand growing things, and are forced to do the homeschooling. And what's really nice about homeschooling is you're not forced to put up with the Common Core crap. And you can actually teach real history, what the history was and how things got to. If you understand history, you'll understand where we're at today. That's so important. Everything that's going on today is a replay of 1939 and Germany uprising and depressions and crazy leaderships in all the different countries that caused some really strange things to happen, and people followed like lemmings. But what I want to talk about is the fact of watching these guys have a goal, or even a plan or a vision, and they turn it into reality. And then they realize that they don't want to be ran by government. They want to understand where their food comes from, maybe grow it themselves, how a building is done, or how to keep their costs way down and getting out of debt and being debt free. A lot of people in their 30s and 40s have that opportunity if they'd played their cards right with when buying a house and it grew. Right now, you can sell your houses at a really good price, but that's not going to always be true. In about 6 months from now, the housing market's going to crash and burn. But these are people that understood how all this worked, and so now they're selling their houses for top dollar and then starting to get more out to the country or out away from the cities or outskirts of cities and trying to be more self-sufficient. Truly amazing to watch, and there's so many of them. This channel here is a great example, and if you go to this Good Simple Living, I suggest you go back and see the process of how they got to where they are today. And you say, well, they had a beautiful house and all that stuff, and now they're out there in the woods and they're just struggling to get buildings built and stuff. But you don't get it. You just don't get it. And that's what I missed about when I was RVing, is I felt like, oh, I was having fun, but I didn't feel like I was really contributing. I didn't feel like I was fulfilling tasks and goals, or I'd go to stores like Home Depot and see these beautiful flowers and things that you could do, and you can't do when you live in an RV. Now, I truly understand the folks that get an RV, have a home base, and do both. Like our neighbors, they have 5 acres too. They work very hard in their property. It's beautiful property, and then they like to go to Yuma during the winter, and then they come, because it does get a little chilly here. But every day, Sherry and I wake up with sore muscles that we didn't know we had. We wake up with aches and pains and stuff because we actually have to get our hands dirty, and we get filthy every day working in our yard. And understanding that, we got tractors and equipment, all these things that keep running, and some things don't go as well, property and things to take care of. But at the end of the day, you go, wow, what a day. And you sleep like a baby because you start to lose weight, and you start feeling healthier and etc. No matter what age you are, you can do what we're doing. You can do it in different forms. Buy a place that's already semi-modern but still out of ways. That gives you enough room to put some a little garden in. Maybe you want to have chickens like we have now. Maybe you want to do even more than that. I have no desire to do like pigs and cows and stuff. I'd rather do co-ops, and that's what we're doing. But the fact is as though I love RVing, to do it as a full-time lifestyle, they won't tell you, but there's little things that they know they're missing out on when it's the fact that they live in an RV. They may be able to go out the private land for a while, but when they're in RV parks, it's a zoo. And there's rules and regulations, and there's people close to you, and there's irritating folks and really nice people. You know, and then this nomad life is not glamorous at all. It feels like homesteading, only you have no control over your environment around you as far as putting fences up or having your pets out, or strangers coming into your premises and stuff. There's something to say about having privacy. It's something to say about having a little land and elbow room. It's not for everybody. And of course, there's factors of your age, your health, your careers, things like that. But what people are discovering with this COVID is companies are definitely pushing for the virtual living and stuff like that, which with RVers, that's great. But as a homesteaders, that's great too, because they can go out farther out. As long as they can get the internet, they can still do their jobs and keep up a homestead. And that, to me, is truly amazing. And that is one of the reasons why we don't full-time RV. Still, do not get me wrong. I love RVing. I do miss taking off and doing things, but right now we have a new place we're building up. Our priorities is getting our household and our homestead to a very comfortable manner based on the different seasons. Our RV is a wonderful tool for the fact that we have to have family over a lot because we have estate issues. Not issues, but things that we're taking care of, and we can bring down different families to get certain things out of here and give them a place to stay. And when that settles down for us, our RV is going back to work for little weekend vacations for us, because in Central Oregon, there's unlimited places to go with your RV. And we are looking forward to that. So yes, we love our RV. We suggest people find RVs that are within their means. But right now, with the economy the way it is, this is probably not the best time to buy an RV. In about 6 months, when the economy takes a swing for the worse opportunities, if you're setting yourself up good today, then tomorrow you can take advantage of the folks who didn't prepare and unfortunately got swept under the rug. It's not pretty, and there's so much you don't know what's going on. The media, for some reason, will not tell us the truth of what's going out there. They give us these little bits and pieces because the news is all about business and ratings. And so we're not really getting the real picture of how many people can't make their mortgages, or how many people are really unemployed. And the fact that even they had stimulus checks and stuff, thousands of people haven't even got those. And, people are used to living at a certain level because everything was stable, and all of a sudden that money's gone, either from unemployment, etc. And so you may say your expenses are $7,000 a month to maintain a $400,000 house and 2 cars and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden it drops down to maybe $2,500 a month, and you can't make the rest of that $5,000. There's going to be some losses, whether it's going to be losing cars, RVs, boats, or your house, a lot of things, maybe your health insurance, etc. There's a lot of that going on, and it's not being reported. It just gets kind of skimmed on. And it's like, that is actually the most important news we need to hear about. And what's going on in the other countries dealing with COVID and all these having the same problems we are? What are they doing? Are the countries out there doing better than us, finding ways to get through all this? That's the news we need to hear about. So I also always tell people, start following some of the other alternative news, like the Blaze and Guardian and some of these other ones that will tell you some of the stories that the mainstream won't tell us. We need to know about that so we can make good visionary decisions in the future, whether you're an RVer or you have a base camp or what. But I'm telling you, if someday you can have a little more simple living as far as finding a base place to live and RVing, you'll be a happy camper. You'll have stability. You're not always under the influence of the community that could ruin good things. Like we watched another video last week where the guy, talk about HOAs in RV parks that are just driving people crazy. Silly people that they're almost demonic, and they just love to make other people miserable. And do you really want that? I watched Nomadic Fanatic just the other day doing a video, and he's complaining like, I couldn't get a 2x6 piece of wood at Home Depot. It's like, welcome to reality. It's been that way for a while now. It's just now waking up to realize that maybe there's some issues out there. So anyway, just my opinion. So anyway, guys, let's move on to a new subject. I was actually doing a video for a regular daily show, and I have a lot of new folks that are subscribers on our channel. So I did a little bit of a tour of our RV. So when you hear this section I'm going to play, it's a videotape. It may be referring to people that are really not RVers yet, but I know with the RV Talk Radio, when we play these, occasionally some of the new subscribers like to watch it because they're either thinking about RVing or have an RV. So without further ado, here's a little small clip that I did for our RV. So since we got so many new subscribers, my channel used to be a lot about RVing. So a few of you have kind of been curious about what we have back here. This is a Montana 2013 2625 RE. RE means rear entertainment. This has been a fantastic machine. Very little problems. Unfortunately, sitting here too long, I'm getting a little oxidation and stuff, but all in all, she's doing good. And once I got her sealed up good, I don't have any trouble with critters. But I thought I'd give you a quick peek at the inside of this. We lived in this full time several times, and it's going to be a little dark at first. Let's see if I can get some lights on here. One moment, please. So, this is the inside. Let's see if I can't get a light on in here. Might help out a little bit. So this is what they call the rear entertainment living room area. This thing is as clean as a bug, whatever that is. And dining room table, nice little kitchen, a beautiful master bedroom with king size bed. Let me turn on a light in here. So that's it there. Little television. Bathroom and shower. My dog just hit it. So nice little shower. Just a really nice unit. We've unfortunately we bought it new, which kind of we financed it and put us kind of underwater on it, but it's okay because with family coming up and things like that, it works out really good. As soon as our big projects are done between now and spring, we're gonna actually go camping again. How nice that would be. So this is our fifth wheel, and let me shut off some lights and move on. I think the funny thing about this fifth wheel is when we have guests over, they think it's like a trailer, and it's like, no, it's a house on wheels. So if they want to have a heater on, watch television, use a microwave, it's all there and available. And so it kind of blows their mind. It's actually a house on wheels, and it's been a very good unit for. One is when we're coming up here to take care of and check on her parents before the crisis. and now it's been a great unit for supporting family. Jump on over to trying Rangerrob Poopy Bag. So there's a little tour of our Montana. It is a 3625, not a 2625. Senior moments. Seems to be more and more of those, but actually what the problem is I'm flipping between so many videos sometimes that I get my data mixed up, or I just get I'll be walking through something and see something that catches my eye that either needs fixed or needs to something to be done, and my train of thought gets lost. So senior moments, that's all I can say. So I did want to talk about another channel that actually is kind of driving me crazy lately. So let me get it up on the screen here. Actually, it was like two channels that are, this one I feel is really good. They do show a lot of activities. They just don't sit on their couch the whole time. These guys are called Sweet Travels. The only beef I have with this one and the next one I'm going to show you is they seem a little bit arrogant on showing their equipment. And they have some beautiful stuff. They actually use a 18-wheeler or a full-size truck and a mini car that they load up on it, and they spend a lot of time just showing you how cool their equipment is, and which is cool at first, but then it gets a little old. Like okay, so you got an overpriced truck, an overpriced trailer, and a Mini Cooper, which is a pain in the neck. They have to load all the time, and as impressive as it is, I always hope that shows like this would spend more time on showing where they're going and traveling instead of trying to belittle the people that are watching. That's kind of the feeling, and it's kind of, I'm saying that out of a nice way of show us less equipment and keep showing us the great places you're going, and that'd be nice, because I know that when you're traveling, your whole life is your truck and your trailer or your motorhome or whatever you're pulling. And so a lot of channels, that's all they're showing, and they're just like, look how cool my rig is and all these latest gadgets I got. And it's like, great, but where you going? I want to see where you're at. So anyway, that's one. This to me is probably one of the most phoniest channels out there, The Odd Couple. These guys are God's gift to our rving. They are, to me, are very, in a sense, judgmental on everywhere they go, and are great at showing off their equipment. I tried to watch these guys. I don't even subscribe to them. I had to go back and find them because there's something about them. They are definitely the odd couple. There's an arrogance about them that just you'll feel it when you're watching their shows. Although they are consistent, they do really good photography, but they're the kind of people that show up in an RV place and you're sitting in a really nice area and they've got to pull out their little drone and take pictures and irritate everybody around them just to get that good shot. They totally understand the concept of entertainment and making a YouTube channel grow at the expense of the people around them and the expense of actually not really showing their life in as RV life as peaches and cream all the time. They are really good at judging other organizations, groups, RV parks, etc. But occasionally they actually will do a very informative show. But they are definitely into the media, the photo, the pic at the cost of other people's comfort, and that's a little irritating to me, but I wish them well. But at the same time, a lot of us get it. We see we see what you're doing. Sometimes it's the ones that don't have the best photography, all that stuff, and trying to show where they're at. Those are the RV shows you really want to watch because they're showing you the real thing and not trying to do some crazy production show. These guys are in it for the money. All right, moving on here. I actually monitored one of Cheap RV Living's Mr. Bob there. And I don't know what it is about that guy, but it's like, I just don't, if I was showing him my stuff, I'd be concerned. That's all I can say. But this particular video I caught, it was about incredibly gorgeous gypsy wagon and wood stove built in and a Ram ProMaster. And it was a cute setup and stuff. And I couldn't help but feel sad. For example, one of the first things she did is opened up the passenger door, and the chair was, she took the chair out for her dogs. And so I know it's a mixture of some people just like to be by themselves, which in turn tells me also that they don't do well with others. One way to look at it. And so there's a lot of these kind of people that are, I have to say, kind of loners and kind of like community just enough, but run away to their little hideaways to escape it. And so I can't help but say, well, what are they running away from? Or this is like a form of homelessness, only a step up. It's like, instead of living in a tent in a city, it's like the next step up of being kind of alone. Yes, I do know that there's so many ways that this could happen, whether it's divorce or whether it's a loss of a family members, or you're just difficult kind of person to live with, or vice versa, you've lived with a difficult person and you kind of just broke off on your own. And I could definitely see why a lot of some folks would do this. It's sad to me, but at the same time, I could see where, I guess it was called introverts, where people enjoy their time alone, and don't want to be around crowds. And I don't know socially if that's healthy or not. That tells you something about the person itself. But I see a lot of that, especially in this nomad community of, and then when you also see interviews with homeless, tends to feel the same. It only feels like the equipment's better. You know, and you always hear us say, well, I'm getting closer to nature, it's more spiritual, things like that, closer to God. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of things God tells us to do as far as being productive, being a community, things like that. So I don't always buy into that. But anyway, I just constantly, especially in Bob's videos, see these nomadic people that live alone, you know, nomadic fanatic. The best thing that they integrate with is their pets. And I could see why. And I'm not kind of knocking it as the fact that it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's people realizing their limitations and what works best for them. So let's move on to another website I want to talk about, and it's about sailing, but I want to apply it to nomad life. In the nomad life, they put a lot of pride in being a minimalist, self-sufficient, having their own power, to be independent, freedom, the whole works. No other site have I ever seen shows that, as well as SV, S in Sam, V as in Victor, Delos, which is DELOS, SV Delos. And I've been watching these guys for years. And they live on a 51-foot sailboat. Now, throughout the years, they've had different people on and all this stuff. And, of course, they're going through COVID. So they're down in the Caribbean area and kind of secluding themselves with people that they feel are safe and following procedures of COVID and the whole works. But throughout the years, these guys have mastered the art of solar. They have mastered the art of wind power, of staying out for long periods of time, being self-sustainable with their food and planning, safety equipment, mapping, on and on and on and on and on. And it's just part of their life. They do it every single day. And it really, in some cases, they put nomads in the RV world to shame. Nobody's more self-reliant than what I've seen these guys do. So I highly recommend, if you want to not only have a very entertaining show to watch on a weekly basis, and I'd go way back to the beginning and and do some binge watching. And they'll go through some of the problems they've had and equipment breaking and failures and bringing new equipment in and stuff, and see how they've grown with their needs and how to be self-reliant. We're talking water and fuel and refrigeration and on and on and on. And upkeep of the equipment, the whole works. Tooling. Nobody beats these guys. So if you want to be a good nomadic person that's self-reliant and want to master your mark on this world, if you want to say, is being self-reliant and not relying on other folks, and also being a minimalist, these are the folks to watch. They put almost all of these nomadic people to shame, because they can't fall back on a garage or RV place to fix it, or even friends' garages or anything like some of the other nomadic people do. These guys are on their own constantly. And when they may have to make arrangements for repairs or anything like that, it's a major event. That's what I admire about these people, is if you're going to say you're nomadic, if you're going to say you're self-sufficient and you want to be a minimalist, well, this is proof it can be done. Truly amazing. So once again, these guys are called SV Delos. If you haven't watched them by now, they've been on for years. They do all their own production. They're not influenced by products and things like that. They use Patreon, and they use what they call buy us a beer type thing, and just produce quality videos, which is enough to help them have enough funds to do what they do. And they've done it for years. I think they're on like 7 years now. So anyway, I just can't help every time I see these guys going, these guys make nomadic people look pathetic. They're just amazing. So keep that in mind. I also notice on the screen, I'll move it over so we can see it. Where is it? I thought I saw it on the screen. Well, I guess what you're seeing and what I'm seeing are two different things. There's another guy that I want to mention that has been, his name's Rob. And let me see if I can find him real quick, because he was just there on the screen. The only thing I don't like about this one guy that I shouldn't have used the word dislike or hate. I don't hate or anything like that. But there's a guy right here. Let me find him, and then I'll come back on. Okay, I found him. It's Little House Off Grid, and I've watched him a little bit. The only thing that really frustrates me with him, he's actually very informative. Stays on track, but he makes thumbnails that are just so clickbaitish that drives me crazy, because I'll see one of his thumbnails, I'll clip, I'm being evicted, and he's like, oh sheesh, I want to find out why, and you click on it and he's talking about something totally different, and actually never even sometimes even talks about what he put on his thumbnail. Now, marketing wise, fantastic. It works. What's this one? The official said we can't live off grid in a tiny house. So you'll say, oh my gosh, what happened? And you get in there and he's talking about an article he read or somebody else. And so it's a little misleading, and I kind of get frustrated at that part. However, I do like his channel. He just traveled for quite a while as nomadic, and really wasn't that happy. And he really pointed out the abuse of our BLM lands and things like that, and really sad. And he actually was pretty good about helping clean them up and things like that, but he's just couldn't stand it anymore, and he bought some property. I'm not sure what state he's in, and so he's trying to make a tiny house on a small piece of property, and seems very content. And so power to him. Of course, he's discovering some of the ins and outs of trying to be off-grid and doing tiny homes as far as regulations and ordinances of the cities and stuff like that, power companies, etc., and which is something a lot of these off-grid people are trying to do, and it's a battle to find the right places to go to get to be off-grid as much as you possibly can. I recommend to be on grid and then work your way off of it, and that way you're not suffering as far as not having the utilities, powers, and things you need to do that. But I always say in my show on Rangerrob Country Living, sorry, talking a lot today, to do the what if scenarios. Like, what if my power went out? What if I couldn't cook? What if I don't have water? And then start building systems and stuff to back up all these things that you rely on. What if I don't have a septic? What if I don't have a way to heat the house? What are you going to do? And I'd even tell people, shut off your power for the weekend. You'll realize a few things really quick. So anyway, so he's been really good about explaining what's going on, but at the same time, I just don't like his clickbait thumbnails. However, I do recommend that you follow his channel. It's called Little House Off Grid, and his name's Rob. And I just wish he would stay on track with his thumbnails. That's all. All right, let's move on. Well, it's time to do a shameless plug for us. What I want to talk about is our channel and how it's grown and changed over the years and years and years that we've had it. We've had our channel for a long time, and it started out as RV travel, and then we gave it a name, RV Travel Buddy, and then we bought the trademark, and then we broke it off to our independent travels and had several different playlists. And we had RV Travel Quest, which was more personal, me and Sherry, and then the RV Travel Buddy was more of products and equipment and things like that. Then we're starting to get to a point where we're done doing full-time traveling and things like that, and bought a home. So we changed the name to Outdoor Travel Channel. And so that way we could still talk about that. We had a boat at the time, so we introduced some new things there. A couple other things, a little bit about shooting, and just odds and ends, kind of outdoor related, and traveling and road trips. Well, then we started branding ourselves, and why we got off the RV world, we produced the RV Rangerrob pet poopy bags, and then we created some other things that do with their brand of Rangerrob, and we bought the trademark. And so then our lives changed with death in the family and caregiving and things like that. And so we were just like, what's all the things we like? We like to travel. We did like a little bit of the being self-sufficient and things like that. So over the last year, we finally ended up buying a 5-acre place in Central Oregon, which is not super out in the country, kind of in the middle, with 5 acres that allow us to do a lot of things. We are limited to what kind of animals we can have on this property. You can have chickens and certain kinds, you can have goats and sheep and things like that. You just can't have like cows or pigs, which is fine because I don't want them. there's so many farms around us that you can co-op with them easily, which is let them take care of it and I just write a check. So we evolved to what's called the Rangerrob channel, or Rangerrob Country Living, which allows us, well, then there's one more thing I got to add to that is we have a radio station called Good Talk Radio. So we were doing different YouTube channels for all that stuff, and it was like, oh, this is just too much to keep track of. So we've been trying to consolidate everything under the Rangerrob brand. And so that's what created the Rangerrob channel, and what you look us up is called Rangerrob Country Living, which falls under a lot of things we're doing. So now you'll see us doing videos daily, and that's not easy, by the way, folks, of daily life of trying to maintain a 5-acre place and getting self-reliant, working on gardens and working on power supplies, backup generator systems, on and on and on. And then also the fact that this house is a beautiful house, but it last 5 years wasn't taken care of as well as should be. So there's a lot of work going on just to get it back to kind of where it was. And then at the same time, we're adding new systems to it, like a really cool generator system we put on the well house and stuff like that. And what we're doing with prepping and how we're just trying to be prepared for whatever, just being a little prepared. So a lot of that still relates to RV. We still love RVing. And so because it's a country living channel, we can still produce RV related videos on different playlists. So we kind of changed the schedule. I kind of mentioned earlier in the show is on Saturdays and Sundays, we'll use those for our separate shows. Saturdays for Easy Street, which is a half-hour podcast show we do. And then we'll give Sundays to RV Talk Radio when we produce a show like that. So you imagine the schedule. We got a crazy schedule. We're producing, like, I've got to put another video together that we just did on our new chainsaw we just bought. So the video before that, I actually went through 3 chainsaws. And because they were old and they were hand-me-down kind of chainsaws, they'd start up, I'd get them going, and then they'd just go to pot on me. And one was so dull, it couldn't even cut through the wood. And those weren't mine. And then I actually pulled out one of mine, but it was sitting around so long. And when we were in Arizona, I was sitting in the garage at 110 temperature. All the plastic stuff, tubes and stuff like that were disintegrating. So my son's going to take that and fix it up, and he'll get a free chainsaw of it. And so the third chainsaw I bought was a steel with a really nice warranty. And actually today I was actually cutting a lot of stuff in the yard. And of course we make videos of that stuff. So you can imagine how craziness of, if I get some of my facts mixed up, don't be surprised. But it's a fun channel. I hope you always come here and visit us on Rangerrob Country Living. And we've evolved. If you like RVing, you go back in our playlist, you'll find all kinds of RV related stuff. If you like a little bit of boating, we had some boating for 2 years. Yeah, road trips, things like that. And then as you can see us evolve of how this happened to us, the whole history of it is there. So it's been a fun channel, and it's changed its nature a lot. And let's put it this way, we're really happy at the end result here, because summing up our lives of traveling and being in Phoenix and settling down, getting our finances back in order, recovering from the first 2008 recession, building up things, getting things paid off, and getting our lives straightened out, and then getting into learning how to be a prepper. Nothing severe. I mean, we're not like, oh my gosh, apocalypse. It could happen, but at least we'd be in pretty good shape. Getting in touch a little bit more with our religion, our Christianity. Sherry and I just got baptized, by the way. And just a lot of little things all coming together to this, the Rangerrob Country Living. And so there'll still be RV stuff in there, and then we'll try to keep those on those playlists. And at the same time, it's fun to see. people say, oh, when you go to buy property and you want to go off grid, it's just a piece of cake and you sit around and drink lemonade all day. And it's not like that at all. And if you have animals like we do now, you got responsibilities, and the more you bring on, the more responsibilities you have. However, I brought my kids up here in the same place on 5 acres, and we had a game bird farm. And I just proud of the fact that I have kids that can relate to the real world. And of course, they didn't have the social media and stuff that the kids are up against now. But like I said earlier in the show, we can't hide and keep kids from seeing negative things or hearing evil things and stuff like that. What we need to do is teach them how to deal with it, and to keep them hidden from it until they graduate, and then we throw them out in the world and they're just screwed up. They have no way of handling grief and issues and social issues and stuff, because we've kept them, we hovered over them, and we got to keep our kids tough. We got to let them face realities and talk through them. And so, anyway, this is the kind of living that my kids were actually exposed to before we went traveling and all that stuff. And we're actually kind of came back. We didn't think we'd be back at this kind of lifestyle. And here we are. And when we were here before, there was no YouTube. And so, here we are, right back where we started. So anyway, I just thought I'd kind of do a brief of what's going on with the Rangerrob channel, why it is the way it is. I suggest you find a playlist of things that you're interested in, but I really like to invite you to enjoy our channel now with the off-grid living. And we take the approach is buy something on grid and then work your way off of it and do the what if scenario. And that's kind of, I've talked about that a little bit earlier in the show. And that's what we do on this channel is, I still enjoy having electricity. I still enjoy having water. I still enjoy that. Why should you suffer and buy something that's totally primitive when you can start off with stuff and then learn how to get off of it? So one way of looking, it really does tie into RV living, minimalist living, and things like that. Of course, you watch us and see all the equipment we have to buy. It doesn't feel like a minimalist living. So that's what I got to say about that. So let's move on. Well, it's that time. I got to wrap this up. I do want to remind you that also our channel has over 800 videos on it, believe it or not. And it's kind of fun to see how they evolve, go way back. You go, wow, we've changed a lot. But yeah, so, and I guess I didn't mention one thing earlier is that RV Talk Radio will be on this channel too. It has its own playlist, and we have 139 episodes of RV Talk Radio, which plays on Good Talk Radio and actually is syndicated in some other radio stations. And so it's got a long history. We always tried to stay with RV lifestyle, not so much DIY kind of stuff. We were just, we want to kind of focus on why are people doing this RV stuff, and what's the positives and negatives. And you'll hear me go with negative stuff, but you always will hear me talk about the bright side of it too. And so I try not to go, Debbie Downer on everybody. We try to bring it back out and say, well, I understand why they're doing it, blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I hope you always see that in our show. We bring up a lot of things that might say, like, man, he's a downer about it. No, I'm just making sure when people are getting ready to be an RVer and what kind of RVer they want, that they see and talk about all aspects of it and decide what's best for them. So with that in mind, I want to thank you for listening to RV Talk Radio. You can find us on Spreaker. Go down to the description, find all the different places we are. We're on Good Talk Radio. We love you guys. Be safe. Buy yourself an RV. Have a blast. Thank you very much for watching our video. Please take the time to like, subscribe, and share our videos all over the whole wide world. Thanks.